Lydia, a skilled mechanic in a quiet Midwestern town, enjoyed crafting unique decorations during the fall season to brighten her modest home with creative touches that reflected her hands-on personality. One chilly October evening, she gathered discarded pumpkins from a local farm, planning to build whimsical jack-o'-lantern guardians to line her driveway as a fun Halloween display for neighbors. Working in her garage under bright lights, she carved intricate faces into each pumpkin, giving them expressive eyes that seemed almost watchful in the way they caught the shadows. She assembled them into tall figures using sticks and old clothes, positioning them like silent sentinels around her property to create an atmospheric welcome for trick-or-treaters. As night fell, Lydia noticed a subtle glow starting in one of the jack-o'-lanterns, its light pulsing faintly as if breathing in rhythm with the cool breeze outside. Dismissing it as a reflection from her porch light, she went inside for dinner, but the glow persisted in her mind, drawing her back to check on them. From her window, she saw the lights in their eyes following her movements, creating an unsettling sensation of being observed by inanimate objects in the darkness. The whispers began softly that night, faint judgments on her daily choices, like murmurs from old friends commenting on her solitary life and unspoken regrets. Lydia shook off the unease, attributing it to fatigue from a long day at the auto shop, where she fixed cars with precision and quiet determination. But the next morning, the jack-o'-lanterns remained aglow, their faces turned slightly toward her house, as if they had shifted positions during the night hours. Throughout the day, she felt their gaze, even at work, a constant surveillance that made ordinary tasks feel exposed and vulnerable under invisible scrutiny. Returning home, the whispers grew clearer, critiquing her decisions with eerie accuracy, pulling her into a web of self-doubt that echoed through her thoughts. Lydia realized these were no ordinary decorations. They had animated subtly, their lights acting as eyes that monitored her every action with silent, persistent attention. Drawing from her mechanical knowledge, she decided to dismantle them one by one, hoping to break whatever strange force had brought them to life. As she approached the first, its glow intensified, whispering pleas to remain, tempting her with promises of protection against the loneliness she often felt. Ignoring the words, she removed the pumpkin head, but the light lingered in the air momentarily, casting illusions of watchful shadows across the yard. The other guardians reacted, their whispers uniting in a chorus that filled her mind with doubts about her independence and choices in life. Lydia pressed on, using tools from her garage to disassemble the figures, each piece revealing no source for the glow or the haunting voices. She recalled folklore tales of animated lanterns warding off spirits, but perhaps these had become the spirits themselves, feeding on her inner uncertainties. In a moment of clarity, Lydia posed riddles to the last one, drawing from old legends where tricksters were outwitted by clever questions and logic. The whispers faltered as she asked about their true purpose, revealing they thrived on unspoken fears, weakening when confronted directly with truth. The glow dimmed and the illusions shattered, leaving the yard in peaceful darkness as the final guardian fell silent under her determined gaze. Lydia buried the remnants deep in the soil, ensuring no trace remained to reanimate and haunt her quiet evenings once more. The experience changed her approach to crafting, opting for simpler designs that held no potential for unexpected life or judgmental whispers. Neighbors commented on the absence of her decorations, but she smiled knowingly, keeping the tale of the Watchers to herself as a private lesson. Nights became restful again, free from the subtle pressure of being observed by creations born from her own hands. Lydia's mechanical skills sharpened further, channeling the ordeal into innovative projects that brought genuine joy without supernatural complications. She shared vague stories with close friends, warning of how innocent hobbies could invite unintended presences into one's personal space. The Jack-o'-lantern Watchers became a memory, a cautionary echo in her mind during future Halloween preparations. Life in the Midwestern town continued calmly, but Lydia now viewed glowing lights with a mix of curiosity and careful skepticism. Her home felt truly hers again, unburdened by the animated surveillance that had once turned familiar spaces into realms of doubt. The whispers faded completely over time, leaving behind a stronger sense of self-awareness and resilience against subtle manipulations. Lydia embraced solitude as a choice, not a flaw, turning the haunting into a source of personal growth and empowerment. The legend of living lanterns lingered in her thoughts, a reminder that some creations reflect our inner worlds more than we intend. She experimented with non-glowing decorations, finding beauty in simplicity that avoided any risk of animation or haunting. Friends noticed her newfound confidence, attributing it to her busy work life, unaware of the supernatural trial she had overcome. The buried pieces stayed silent, but Lydia occasionally wondered if they whispered to the earth in quiet protest. Autumn seasons brought reflection now, a time to appreciate the natural glow of leaves rather than carved faces. Lydia's story became an internal guide, helping her navigate life's subtle judgments with unwavering determination. The Watcher's end marked a new chapter, one free from illusory eyes and haunting critiques. She mentored apprentices at the shop, teaching them not just mechanics, but the value of mindful creation. Peace settled deeply, with the animation serving as a pivotal lesson in her journey through the unknown. The Midwestern winds carried no more whispers, allowing Lydia to enjoy the quiet she had reclaimed. Her resilience shone brightly, a light born from within rather than deceptive glows. The Jack-o'-lantern's tale persisted as folklore in her mind, enriched by personal encounter. Lydia celebrated Halloween with gatherings, sharing stories that hinted at mysteries without revealing too much. The haunting dissolved, leaving empowerment in its wake for future challenges. Glowing decorations elsewhere prompted smiles, reminders of her victory over the Watchers. She documented her crafts in a journal, noting safe practices to avoid unintended animations. The living lights became a symbol of caution, guiding her creative endeavors wisely. Lydia's home radiated warmth, untainted by the subtle dread of animated guardians. Friends gathered often, enjoying the security she had fought to restore. The episode faded, but its wisdom endured eternally in her actions. Autumn nights held magic now, free from deceptive animations. Lydia's poise grew, born from outsmarting the haunting presence. The Jack-o'-lantern Watchers remained buried, their whispers silenced forever in the ground. Empowerment came through confrontation, turning fear into lasting strength. Lydia thrived, haunting conquered through clever resolve and inner fortitude. Thus, the Jack-o'-lantern Watchers serve as a reminder: creations can reflect and challenge our deepest selves. Nora, a dedicated botanist managing a remote pumpkin farm, spent her days studying plant growth patterns to improve yields in the isolated countryside fields she cherished. One foggy October morning, she noticed unusual face-like patterns emerging on the pumpkins overnight, as if nature itself had etched subtle expressions into their skins. Intrigued by the anomaly, Nora examined them closely, noting how the patterns shifted slightly under different lights, creating an illusion of movement. She decided to carve one for study, hoping to understand the botanical mystery behind the spontaneous designs that appeared without human intervention. As her knife pierced the skin, a faint glow ignited within, illuminating the carved face with a hypnotic light that pulsed gently in the dim barn. Nora set it aside, but the glow spread subtly to nearby pumpkins, awakening similar lights that drew her attention with their mesmerizing rhythm. The field transformed gradually, the vines weaving into paths that lured her deeper, guided by the illuminated faces whispering soft invitations. Illusions began to form, forgotten trails appearing where none existed before, pulling Nora into a labyrinth of glowing vegetation and deceptive turns. The whispers suggested hidden knowledge about plant life, tempting her scientific curiosity with promises of breakthroughs in her botanical research. Nora resisted initially, using her expertise to map the field's true layout, countering the hypnotic pulls with measured steps and observations. But the glows intensified, creating visions of thriving gardens where every plant responded to her commands, blurring reality with enticing possibilities. She realized the jack-o'-lanterns had animated through some ancient force, perhaps tied to folklore, where lanterns guarded or misled wanderers. Drawing from her knowledge of biology, Nora experimented with natural extinguishers, like shading the lights to weaken their hypnotic influence. The whispers grew frustrated, weaving denser illusions of endless patches where escape seemed impossible without yielding to their lure. Nora anchored herself by recalling precise plant classifications, using logic to dismantle the deceptive paths, one illusion at a time. The central carved pumpkin pulsed strongest, its face morphing to mimic her expressions, challenging her resolve with mirrored doubts. She confronted it directly, applying botanical solutions to dim its inner flame, feeling the field's grip loosen as the glow faded. Other pumpkins followed suit, their lights extinguishing in sequence, restoring the farm to its ordinary, non-illusory state under her guidance. Nora documented the event meticulously, hypothesizing a rare fungal or environmental trigger that had caused the animation and hypnotic effects. The experience deepened her passion for botany, incorporating cautionary notes about nature's unpredictable ways in her ongoing studies. She avoided carving in the future, preferring to observe natural patterns without altering them to risk awakening hidden forces. The remote farm felt secure again, its fields yielding normal harvests free from the subtle deceptions of living lights. Nora shared her findings with fellow scientists, framing it as an anomaly while keeping the supernatural whispers private. Nights on the farm became peaceful, illuminated only by stars rather than deceptive glows from animated produce. Her resilience in the face of illusion strengthened her scientific methods, blending intuition with empirical evidence. The glow in the patch became a personal legend, a story of outsmarting nature's tricks through knowledge and persistence. Nora's crops flourished, benefiting from her heightened awareness of subtle changes in the environment. Friends visited more often, enjoying the tranquility she had restored after the haunting episode. The animated lanterns lingered as a memory, reminding her that even plants could hold mysteries beyond science. She published papers on pattern formation, subtly influenced by the event without revealing its eerie aspects. Autumn harvests brought satisfaction, now unmarred by hypnotic illusions or whispering vines. Nora's botanist network grew, inspired by her tales of unusual field phenomena. The patch stood silent, its secrets buried with the extinguished glows. She embraced the unknown, turning fear into fuel for deeper explorations. The living lights taught her balance between curiosity and caution in her work. Nora's home on the farm radiated calm, free from deceptive botanical haunts. Colleagues admired her insights, unaware of the supernatural trial behind them. The glow's end marked growth, an evolution in her understanding of nature. Foggy mornings held no dread, just opportunities for observation. Nora journaled daily, capturing lessons from the animated patch. The illusion's dissolution empowered her for future mysteries. She mentored students remotely, emphasizing mindful interaction with plants. Peace enveloped the farm, with illusions firmly extinguished. The botanical haunting faded, leaving wisdom in its wake. Nora thrived amidst her fields, unburdened by living lights. The story persisted internally, guiding her scientific pursuits. Harvests celebrated simply, without carvings or glows. Friends sensed her strength, born from confronting the unknown. The patch's glow became folklore in her mind alone. She innovated farming techniques, inspired by the event. Solitude suited her, enhanced by overcome illusions. Nora's legacy grew, rooted in resilient curiosity. The animated episode concluded, but lessons endured. Fields bloomed, naturally, free from hypnotic deceptions. She found joy in simplicity. The botanist's poise shone, forged in subtle dread. The jack-o'-lantern glows, silenced, buried in the soil, where they could no longer lure or deceive. Empowerment blossomed through knowledge, turning mystery into mastery. Nora flourished, animation conquered. Thus, Glow in the Patch warns nature's beauty can hide deceptive lights within. Harlan, a passionate historian researching Irish folklore, spent evenings in his study, poring over ancient texts about legends that shaped cultural traditions across generations. One rainy October day, he inherited a peculiar turnip lantern from a distant relative, its surface carved with symbols that hinted at deep historical significance. Placing it on his desk, Harlan noticed how it cast elongated shadows across the room, shadows that seemed to mimic human forms in subtle ways. As lamplight hit it, the shadows stirred faintly, whispering fragments of historical secrets long forgotten in the annals of time. Harlan leaned in closer, fascinated by the phenomenon, attributing the movement to drafts in the old house he called home. But the whispers clarified overnight, recounting tales of Stingy Jack and his cursed wanderings, filling his mind with vivid historical doubts. The shadows lengthened, enveloping bookshelves and furniture, creating an atmosphere of entrapment where every corner held echoed uncertainties. Harlan delved into his research, cross-referencing the symbols with Celtic lore, uncovering wards meant to bind spirits within such artifacts. The turnip's influence grew, shadows whispering challenges to his scholarly beliefs, pulling him into webs of ancient questions without answers. He resisted by tracing historical timelines, using facts to counter the deceptive narratives that the shadows wove around him. Illusions formed gradually, his study transforming into a Celtic ruin where shadows mimicked long-lost figures debating forgotten histories. The whispers tempted with unrevealed knowledge, promising insights into unsolved mysteries if he yielded to their enveloping presence. Harlan anchored himself with primary sources, reading aloud from journals to drown out the haunting echoes in his mind. The turnip pulsed with dim light, its shadows intensifying efforts to ensnare him in eternal intellectual loops of doubt. Recalling legends where curses were sealed through rituals, he prepared to banish the artifact to a forgotten site. Shadows clung persistently, whispering distortions of history that tested his expertise and resolve to seek truth. Harlan journeyed to an old Celtic ruin, carrying the turnip carefully, feeling the shadows trail him like silent companions. At the site, he performed a symbolic sealing, burying the lantern under stones inscribed with counterwards from his research. The whispers faded as earth covered it, illusions shattering like fragile glass, restoring clarity to his thoughts. Harlan returned home enlightened, his historical pursuits enriched by the personal encounter with living folklore elements. He avoided inherited artifacts thereafter, preferring documented sources over tangible relics that risked animation. The study felt spacious again, free from elongated shadows and their haunting historical murmurs. Harlan published essays on Celtic curses, infusing them with subtle warnings drawn from his experience. Nights dedicated to reading became joyful, untainted by deceptive whispers from the past. His scholarly network expanded, inspired by his deepened insights into folklore's psychological impacts. The turnip shadows became a private tale, a benchmark for distinguishing fact from illusory legend. Harlan's home echoed with quiet satisfaction, shadows now mere plays of natural light. Colleagues praised his work, oblivious to the supernatural trial that honed it. The buried lantern rested silent, its influence sealed away in the ruin's embrace. Harlan embraced intellectual challenges anew, fortified against deceptive historical lures. The animation's end sparked growth, evolving his approach to ancient studies. Rainy days held no omen, just opportunities for deeper research. He journaled reflections, capturing the essence of the shadowy ordeal. Peace returned fully, with doubts transformed into scholarly strengths. The legend of turnip lanterns gained layers through his encounter. Harlan mentored aspiring historians, stressing discernment in folklore pursuits. The shadow's dissolution empowered him for future explorations. His study thrived as a haven, free from haunting animations. Autumn research intensified, guided by lessons from the turnip. Harlan's wisdom shone, born from confronting illusory pasts. The historical haunting faded, leaving enduring knowledge. He celebrated discoveries simply, without risky relics. Friends noted his clarity, stemming from overcome whispers. The turnip's symbols etched in memory, maps of avoided deceptions. Life's inquiries flowed freely, unhindered by shadows. Harlan's legacy built on resilience against animated doubts. The episode concluded, but insights persisted eternally. Ruins held secrets, safely sealed from reanimation. He found solace in facts, post-shadow. The historian's poise grew, forged in subtle mystery. Turnip shadows silenced, buried where they could no longer cast deceptive forms or whispers. Empowerment arose through intellect, turning enigma into enlightenment. Harlan prospered, shadows vanquished. Thus, turnip shadows caution. History's echoes can ensnare the unwary mind. His work flourished, inspired by the sealed curse. Quiet evenings held promise, free from illusory haunts. The lantern's influence ended, lessons beginning anew. Harlan's path cleared, illuminated by true knowledge. Folklore-enriched life, handled with careful wisdom. And so, the turnip's tale endures, a whisper of caution in scholarly shadows.